Well, this is about the extent of our fall color here at our studio gardens, and it's really the same way across the state. Thanks to the early freeze that we received that caught a lot of the foliage still green on the trees, and of course it caused it to brown and dehydrate right on the tree, and a lot of them are still holding that foliage on. And of course it's caused a lot of questions from viewers and gardeners across the state as to what kind of effect or impact is that early freeze going to have on these particular trees and shrubs. Well, the answer to that is really you've got to wait until the spring. There could be some concern for some bud damage, or maybe a little bit of the twigs or branches might possibly die back. But again, you won't know that until they start to come out in the spring. And even some of the evergreens like the pines, etc., have dehydrated and burned as a result of the cold too. But thankfully we got a little bit of moisture before that cold spell, which helped us a lot. And the key to it and the thing to remember is during the winter months, even though they're dormant and have been damaged, make sure that if we get some dry periods or go through a drought that you give them a little bit of supplemental water. And that's really all you can do until next spring to determine what the damage might be and if you should do any pruning or not. So again, keep that in mind. Moisture is really crucial. And with the onset of the early cold, it really helps us get in the mood for Christmas, even though a lot of the things are showing up in the garden centers and the stores to remind us of Christmas too. And I'd like to share with you some ways that you can personalize your Christmas tree, make it a little bit better as far as aroma. And again, it's one of those things you can involve the kids with. And you can use herbs that you might possibly have left over in the garden that didn't receive damage, or some herbs that you might have indoors. Also, it's fun to go out and select maybe berries and dried wild flowers that have occurred just because of the freeze that we received. Now what you're doing, is taking glass bulbs, and these are pretty hard to find. If you look around, you'll be able to find them. And if you could get some with a larger mouth, I think it would work better. But this particular one, we've just put in some red cedar and some globe amaranth. And both of those are accessible here at our studio gardens. Red cedars are easy to find across Stillwater. And then this is some of the globe amaranth that we had collected right before the freeze. And we just hung those upside down and let them dry inside the barn at room temperature. And we've sprayed them a little bit with an acrylic spray paint or even hairspray to kind of hold the color and the petioles together. And we've just taken the top off of one of the bulbs and just push those down in there. Now these are glass, and you can see this one's broken, and you need to be really careful. Alan tells me that he's seen some acrylic balls that separate or pull apart that you can use to put little trinkets in, and I think those would work real well too for this particular project. But again, here's one of our peppers, our ornamental peppers you've seen on the show. They've been frozen, but they'd still make neat little decorations. Anything that would fit in there that you can drop in. Now some of the herbs don't dry real well, so you might want to put them in fresh, and they'll still give you a little bit of aroma, and you might have to change them out. Here's one that we've used just some of the potpourri and put in some of the globe amaranth, and to get a little bit of color, some of the wood chips have been dyed with a food color to give it a Christmas type effect. The other thing that you want to remember too is a lot of the fragrance liquids can be poured in here to help give it an aroma, and of course the aroma escapes from the end of the ornament. Now in drying herbs, remember that a lot of times microwaves give you directions now as how to do it. Some people just hang them up like we talked about, air dry them. Others will put them in an oven that's a gas oven with a pilot light and just leave it on a tray for many hours. And of course there's other ways that you can get information from florists, etc. But we use a lot of ours fresh just because it doesn't last as long, but it gives us a greater impact of the aroma. And I think this is just another simple thing you can do to personalize your Christmas and involve the kids, and of course it makes things smell really nice too.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.